Hey everyone, I'm Dino Bidala, and welcome to tonight's Dino Bidala Show on SiriusXM Channel 127. It is February 1st. We made it to February. And I'm Dino Bidala, here to be your MBFF. Well, today on the show, the big topic is going to be the way the GOP is celebrating Black History Month by freaking out over the idea of a Black Supreme Court justice. And you've probably seen some of the reports from Ted Cruz to Senator Roger Wicker, another Republican senator, to Tucker Klansman, as I call him. He's not Tucker Carlson, he's Tucker Klansman, and others on the right. But there's something deeper going on here, and I hope people are seeing it. We'll go through it on my show tonight in more detail, backed up by poll numbers. And you'd say, well, the first Black female Supreme Court justice in the over 235 years of this republic, why would anyone be upset? Why wouldn't you want to celebrate that? And because the GOP, with few exceptions to be blunt, is about white victimhood. It's the idea of being wronged as a white person. And they view things through a zero-sum game mentality, simply meaning any achievement by someone of color is negative for them. It all has to come back to zero. So if a Black person gets a position on the court, Supreme Court, that means one less for a white person. It comes back to zero-sum. Heather McGhee wrote a great book about the zero-sum game. We're seeing this play out right now. And because it should be a celebration. It should be a good thing, right? We're diverse. We're moving forward as a nation. This is great. We all know the statistics. In the entire history of the U.S. Supreme Court from 1789, which is when our Constitution went into place and the Supreme Court was created, to 1967, every single member of the Supreme Court was white and male. Every single one. We all know that. First Black person, Thurgood Marshall, 1967. Since then, there's been one other Black person, Clarence Thomas. Never been a Black woman. A handful of women overall. This is a great move for our nation to have a Supreme Court reflect America a little bit more. But it's not about that. It is their fear. There was a great article from about 5 years ago I went back and looked at, and we'll discuss it in more detail on my show tonight. And it looked at studies in the early 2000s of white voters. And of white voters then, their white identity came up nowhere on the polls. It literally was not a salient statistical factor. That's where they use it. They said it was like breathing air for white people. As demographic change began to happen more and more, though, in this nation, those polls began to shift. And more white people said they were voting and that their race was important to them and they were going to vote in accordance with that. Because first you start with the fact that if your race doesn't matter to you, of course you're not going to vote with any consideration of your race. For white Americans, they began to get fearful of change in this country. And, you know, the poll numbers are really stark when you look at it. And I'll go again through more detail on my show. But it showed in 2005, white racial identity, not political salient. By 2016, when Donald Trump is running, he did not create white victimhood. He did not make white people think, oh, my God, you're being overrun by people of color and immigrants and Black people and brown people. They were there. He just played on it because that's how he feels as well. So by the time you get to 2016, it talks about almost a third of all white people, not Republicans, of all white people, think that their white identity was important to them. Now, it lines up perfectly with the percentage of Americans that are in the GOP. And polls from there have continued to back that up. There was recent polls showing 30 percentage points more of Americans from 2000 to 2018, 30 points more of white people think Black history is taught too much in school. Why would they care? It's important to teach our entire history, and Black history is an important component that has been almost erased for years. But it's the white victimhood. White people feel like they're being wrong, that this society is changing, and they're going to have less power, and they're afraid. That explains everything about Ted Cruz, Roger Wicker, Tucker Klansman, and others. This is much deeper than any one Black Supreme Court justice. It also is leading to the fuel we have in our nation of violence. When white supremacy and the white power structure is challenged, our history has told us something very clearly. It will respond with violence. White power structure will respond with violence to keep their power. They've done it time and time again. January 6th is an outgrowth of that. So I'm not saying there'll be violence over a Black Supreme Court justice being nominated. Then again, the last few days, we've had bomb threats to historically Black colleges. Is there a tie in there? Perhaps. We don't know who's calling it in, so I don't want to say something and we find out it's not. But it could be. But this is much deeper. So I'll talk about it more in my show tonight. It's vitally important that we understand the truth of this nation. banning critical race theory, banning books that deal with Black history in this country are all an outgrowth of this, the sense of white victimhood, white people being wronged. And I fear what it can fuel and where it's going. So my show is live 6 to 9 p.m. on SiriusXM channel 127. If you don't subscribe to SiriusXM, go to the website. There are free trials. Click on it, free trial. Call in, be a part of our family, folks. We got to save this nation. I really think it's down to us. We have to save this nation. And as I say every night in my show, if you want democracy, stay active. Thanks for tuning in to the preview of tonight's Dino Bidala Show.